Hello and welcome to another episode of Death by Bunjie. Going to look at another crossbow on my phone here and see if it is appropriate as a potential successor to Bunjie. Now, I just did a video on Killer Instinct crossbows. You've seen that one already. It's probably up and out there and you've already had a chance to watch that video. That was probably the most requested crossbow for me to look at. I think Centerpoint is right up there with that crossbow. Centerpoint is right up there with them. And I think I've looked at these a couple of times here and there, but I don't have an awful lot of familiarity with this website. So we're kind of looking at this website right now today, kind of fresh, okay? Some of these things I look at in advance of doing the video, and some of them I just wing it, and I don't know if it makes any difference. So we'll find out how we make out here. I'm looking at this right here. I Googled Centerpoint Crossbow, and I see we have $279 models. When we're talking about budget model crossbows, that is one of the things that makes some models more popular than others. That makes sense to me. Our money is scarce, right? We don't all have unlimited budgets to go out there and hunt with. So looking for a model of crossbow that meets your budget is very important. We've got $319 models, the Dagger 390, which was one I was encouraged to look at. Someone is having great success. A friend of Bunjie commented that that was a great crossbow and I should take a look at it. Really likes his Dagger 390. And that's pretty cool, $319. You can't beat that. Those two, the 279 and 390, the 319 models, they look very similar to the traditional style of crossbow, right? The limbs out front like that, crossbow, right? The Sniper Elite, on the other hand, probably shoots around 385 feet per second, if I had to guess. I'm pretty savvy when it comes to these crossbows, huh? 385 feet per second. And then the CP400, we've got a Sniper 370, these various packages. We're going to go to their website, and I am not looking specifically at the budget models, however, for a successor to Bunjie. At least not yet. I'm not saying that my mind is closed to those. I've commented before about how I went 11 seasons with the same crossbow, a $550 model, and that included the arrows and everything, right? A $550 crossbow package. I got my money's worth out of that crossbow. That's a fact. The new ones that I'm looking at, I am looking at their flagship models, their high-end models, and the reason for that is I want to compare apples to apples. So I'm looking at what's the best offering from Raven versus the best offering from Mission versus the best offering from Barnett, that sort of thing. Once you sort of looked at all of those apples to apples, then I can start looking at the oranges, so to speak. I can start looking at the other models if I find a manufacturer that I really like. My goal with these is just to whittle this down to 4 or so manufacturers where I can go try them. A recent question I got, very good question, is where am I going to try out all these crossbows? What shop has all 4 or 5, perhaps, different brands that I want to try out? And the answer is locally, probably no shop has all of them. But here in northeastern Pennsylvania, in my county, there happen to be 4 or maybe even 5 shops, 4 that I've been to, that carry crossbows. And each of them carries a different selection, a different brand or brands. So I will have access to, and I'm primarily interested in the ones that are carried locally. That way, if something happens to break down, I can go to that shop and either get parts or get service. So that's important to me. Centerpoint, I'd have to look to see if they are carried locally. I don't know off the top of my head, but it would not surprise me. So Centerpoint Archery Crossbows. Ooh, we got a little broadhead here on the top. Ooh, look at that. The logo stays right on there. No matter what you do, the logo is right there. That's pretty cool. So Centerpoint Archery, first of all, if we do a drop down on here, products, technology, and support. If we go to products, what do they sell? They sell crossbows, recurve bows, bow fishing equipment, youth bows, arrows, and accessories. Good to know. We'll be back to look at those arrows. Can you guess which one I'm going to pick? Can you guess? We're going to pick crossbows. Kaboom. We'll go right to that. Go straight to the crossbow page. The Centerpoint Sniper Elite 385, probably shooting 385 feet per second. 14-inch power stroke. That's an interesting crossbow. Again, the more traditional model. I actually have a friend of mine who has one of those, and I might have an opportunity to try that before we go. I think his is actually the 370 model, but we might have an opportunity to try that even if I can't try one at a shop locally. So I might be doing a video about that down the road with his crossbow. He has yet to set it up. It was a gift. He is not been into crossbow hunting or anything, but maybe this will be the chance to convert them, won't it? Centerpoint Raft 430 with silent crank. Coming soon. Coming soon tells me that this is probably their high-end model. 430 with silent crank, betting that shoots 430 feet per second. It does say 430 feet per second right there. That's cool. The Centerpoint Raft 430. This is the without the crank. You're probably going to save some bucks there. But that tells me if they are selling it without the crank, perhaps this will be rope cocked. And if it can be rope cocked, it might be moving up a little bit in the ladder of potentials for a successor to Bunjie. The Centerpoint Pulse 425, another fast crossbow, again, the more traditional style looking crossbow. If you look at the Raft, now we're getting into the narrower design, the narrower appearance that looks more akin to what you would see in a store today with more modern crossbows. That is a design that gives you an even more narrow footprint, so to speak. It makes it a little more maneuverable in a blind. And I do plan on doing more blind hunting, not less blind hunting. I had a great success last year. Shot my biggest Pennsylvania buck ever last year in a blind. I was in the blind, not the deer. Centerpoint Mercenary 390. That is 390 feet per second. Again, the more traditional style. Centerpoint Heat. Boy, they have a lot of models, this company does. The Heat 425 with power draw. Interesting, power draw. And we see how their quivers are located off to the side in a more traditional fashion, at least on that crossbow. We've got a Dagger 390. Again, that is one that was recommended to me. Stirrup right out front. I like that traditional style, although I think I am leaning toward more of that Raft style in any crossbow that I choose. Something with the more narrow design and a more modern looking crossbow. I know. The looks of your crossbow, Rich, really, you're deciding which crossbow you want to spend your hard-earned bucks on, to sort of go out there in the world and to be the face of Death by Bunjie. You're deciding it based on what it looks like. I know. But this is Death by Bunjie. I do weird stuff, right? Not everything to me is purely by the numbers. There are a lot of factors, and I'm picking the crossbow that's best for me. The crossbow that's best for Death by Bunjie is the crossbow that's best for Rich Wilson. So the crossbow that I pick, and I want to be clear about this, even if I'm not choosing a Dagger 390, it doesn't mean that I don't like that crossbow, and it absolutely does not mean that that is not the perfect crossbow for you. It very well could be that that is the best crossbow for you and your crossbow hunting method. Mine, I have in my head at least, what I want out of my upcoming crossbow. There are just choice after choice, and a lot of these, I got to say, kind of look the same. For this, what I'm seeing on this web page, they all sort of look like this traditional style, the Centerpoint Heat, versus the more modern thing that we've got with our Raft style crossbow at 430 feet per second. Even the speeds. Now, you're getting the speeds with those wider limbs. You're getting the speeds with the more narrow limbs on this model. So it really is more in line with what you want. If you want and how much you want to spend. That really is what we're looking at. But I'm going to look at this. I'm taking the plunge here because I do believe that the Raft 430 is probably the flagship model. And again, I look at this. That way I get a feel for what Centerpoint can offer on their high-end crossbow. In the end, if I really like it, maybe I go with one of their other models. I may not spend as much to go with this model. Who knows? I might try their other models and think, hey, this is just as good without the extra money. So we've got the stirrup pointed down like that, very similar to the Killer Instinct style stirrup that we saw in the last video, which helps you set it on the ground. It helps you put the crossbow down, maybe even use as a tripod that is pre-installed. That's pretty cool. The silent crank system, I don't see that here yet, but I'm going to blow up these pictures. We're going to go through it. And the first thing we see is this is a sled style cocking system. I got to tell you, this is technology that at least, and I've never used it, but without using it, I can tell you that I am interested in and attracted to this style rope system or crank system. The sled, the idea behind that, as opposed to the two little hooks, the hooks can get off a little bit, right? They can be a little bit farther to the right, one of them can be, than it normally would be. I always push them tight up against the rail, generally haven't had a problem with it. If you make that part of your regular practice, to push them tight against the rail and pull them back, and you don't let one of them drift a little bit, then you're going to get a good cocked crossbow every time. In the past, there have been times when I felt uncomfortable with the way I had cocked it. So I decock it and then cock it again. And I have been around other friends of Bunjie, hunting with them, trying to help them resolve their accuracy issues. And that's one of the first things that I have noticed on at least one occasion. That fixed a friend of Bunjie's accuracy issues right off the bat. Boom. Just having the hooks tight in against the rail. With this style, okay, you never have to worry about that. If we look at this sled keeps the hooks on the sled at the same distance apart no matter what you do. It is always lined up perfectly. It is always going to cock that crossbow tight against the rail, draw that string back, put it in position, and you're going to have a perfectly cocked crossbow every time. And that's with the crank. Now, I wonder if the rope is the same. Not all of them have the same similar rope, but that is what we got there. If we look here, the front end of that crossbow is blowed up a little bit. I do like, two things I see here. And I beating a dead horse here, I know. You guys are sick of hearing me talk about how the arrow needs to be protected on the forend, blah, blah, blah. But I think that's an important thing, at least to me. That seems to be satisfactory with this crossbow, especially given the fact that the stirrup sticks out like this. This is a more traditional stirrup. But the stirrup, if you look at it, folds up. So we had it in a folded down position. Now it is sticking out, where this would be my hunting position, right? So it is, once I've gotten to my stand, cocked my crossbow, or if I'm carrying it into the woods, I would carry it with the stirrup in this position, and we'd be in good shape. We would have a nicely protected broadhead on the front of that crossbow, ready to do some damage to an unsuspecting deer or other animal. That's pretty cool. I like that. Boy, this thing's all over the place. Woo! We got a crazy website here. It is not a phone-friendly website so far. Okay, we're going to go back here, and we're going to go back to the regular size. All right, what else do we see there? We have a pretty steep angle on those strings, and I had talked about that before. It wants to show me this picture for some reason. We'll stick with this picture. But we see how the angle of the strings comes back, and that is a consequence of these more narrow style crossbows, the narrower limb design. We end up with that steeper string angle, and I'm going to be paying attention to that regardless of what crossbow I purchase and go forward with, because that is something that I think we're going to have to discuss, and we're going to have to talk about and wonder how to fix and replace strings more frequently. The servings more frequently on strings like this than we would otherwise have to do with old Bunjie there. This one, I don't know the draw weight on this crossbow yet, but I'm suspecting that the draw weight is quite great, even with the let-off. With the compound bows, the let-off does put a little less pressure on that string, I'm thinking. Okay, so I think that's going to help our servings, and maybe in the end it makes up for that design. I don't know. Time will tell. This is what we are all learning about crossbows going forward, and I welcome any comments you have on that topic if you want to leave those comments in the comment section here. I welcome your comments. I really do. These are, designed to get me thinking about crossbows, getting you thinking about crossbows. If you're looking for a new crossbow, this is the kind of stuff that I think about. If there's other things I should be thinking about, please share that. We have a half moon style knock, it looks like. We have vanes or fletchings, which look very similar to the ones I've used in the past, not only because they are green, but because they are the shorter style of vane, and I like that. That's very consistent with the type of arrow that I have. The white band on those arrows, holy cow, this wants to jump all over the place. It keeps jumping from picture to picture, but each picture gives me a chance to discuss what I was going to discuss anyway, so we're probably okay in the end. Let's look at this side angle for a little bit. The arrows that they have here have that white band in the middle with the logo. That goes through a deer. That white, hopefully, will turn red. It will tell you the quality and amount of blood you produced with your shot. So that's a nice design on arrows. The new ProFlights that we were using with the Excaliburs, for example, that we used last season, pretty nice. Now, they're a little shiny, and because of that, the blood didn't want to stick to them. But the concept of a white arrow was something I resisted at first. I didn't want white arrows up there in a tree with me because they would stand out. But wow, it's kind of nice to be able to see the blood, right? And it's easier to find that arrow if your luminoc isn't lit, although ours, in the daytime, the luminoc doesn't help you as much. But we had no problem locating arrows because of that either. So that's pretty cool. I give up on the big pictures, blowing those pictures up, because we were just having trouble with that. So we'll zip over here. Maybe I can blow it up on the screen for your purposes. So the stock, man, these compact crossbows are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. That stock, doesn't that stock look awfully close to that scope? Like One of the things I found is that I've always had to push the scope as far forward on my crossbow and then put my stock, I have an extension on it to get it back far enough. For me to be able to get enough eye relief to where I feel comfortable with that scope, where there's no dark circle around it and where the entire image is perfectly contained within the scope, within my eyepiece, I'm looking in that and I need a little bit of distance there. I have to push the scope all the way forward and my stock all the way back. So this might not even be shootable for me. I would have to, you got to shoulder this, right? You can't do all of this stuff on a web page. That design of crossbow brings up that sort of question. Pistol style grips, wow. I'm really liking the fact that more and more we are seeing pistol style grips. I start to comment on this in every video, but I really don't express what my point is. I think originally, rifles were designed to be held like this, right? We had our rifles, the old Model 94 Winchester 3030. Rifles are designed like this for one reason and one reason only. It's not because this is more comfortable. No, it's because they were made out of a board and they whittled them down and they didn't want to, they didn't have plastic. If they had plastic back when they first designed rifles, they would have made rifles this way, because this is what your hands do. That's my point. At least for me, this is more comfortable. And I want to design like this. I'd love to have this. At least this hand has to be this way, okay? And that the thumb hole style stocks, the pistol grips, accomplish that. I would like to have this hand this way instead of this way. But if I can't have that, I'll live with this. But I at least got to have this. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want this anymore. I don't want this anymore. That's the design that I have dealt with and hunted with for 10 years. And we are seeing 11 years. And we are seeing that design go away with all of these modern crossbows. That rifle style stock is just going away. This is a better design. It simply is. It purely is a better design. It is more ergonomic. I guess that's the word, right? More comfortable. So we got our shoulder on here. I wonder how that can be extended. Someone can let me know about the optics for Centerpoint. I don't know a thing about it. Really, that's something I'd like to hear from you. Both reticle design and the quality of the optic, the quality of the scope, if you have experience with them. Is it adequate? Is it awesome compared to others? Adequate might be good enough for me, right? I probably am not going to use my favorite scope, my Twilight DLX off of Bunjie. I probably will leave that on here, or at least maybe consider putting that on Genevieve's crossbow on Bunjie Jr. That's a really nice scope. That one suited me very well, but it probably is not going to be appropriate to put that scope. It would work on one of these, I'm betting, but that might not be what I want. I would rather get a more modern scope that's at least start with one that the manufacturer recommends for whatever crossbow I end up purchasing. That's a neat design. That quiver, I don't think is going to get in our way. I think we're going to be all right in a tree stand. I think we're going to be all right hunting. And again, we see the stirrup goes down like that. That's kind of nice. This is a good looking crossbow. There's a lot that I see here. In terms of style, it looks very appropriate. Let's read about the specs, what we got here. New for 2021. So this one's not out yet. I'm betting this is their new one, their flagship. This is the one we'll look at for that reason. The reverse draw bullpup design. Is that a reverse draw? I don't know everything about crossbows, but to me, that is not reverse draw. This looks very similar to the other ones that we looked at. It does not look like a reverse draw design. I don't know what they're getting at there, but whatever. Okay, please comment on that. Educate me, folks. Come on, friends of Bunjie. Let me know what we're talking about here. The bullpup design pushes arrows downrange at an astounding 430 feet per second and delivers up to 164 FPE. That's kinetic energy. This design allows the bow to be extremely compact at just over 28 inches long and a mere 9 inches when fully cocked. Included in this package is the innovative and revolutionary silent crank accessory. Noiselessly provides an 80% reduction in draw weight. The Raft 430 delivers on the known deadly hunting performance from Centerpoint. That's pretty cool. Well, I like a lot of what I'm reading there. 28 inches long, that's kind of average for the lengths these days. There's this, effort to get more and shorter, but that looks appropriate. I don't think that's bad. The high performance delivery of speeds up to 425 feet per second with Ys at 425. Up to 425. This is a 430. So my genius that I was expressing earlier about how I could tell it was 430 feet per second because it says it's a 430, it's now up to 425. Hurry up and buy it before they drop it even further. I don't know. What's up with that? 425 feet per second is the fastest it will go with appropriate arrows or what have you. Silent crank accessory, compact bullpup body design, CNC machine cam system. CNC, you see that from time to time, and I'm like, what's CNC? I had to look it up. But it's just a computer-aided manufacturing is all it is, which I suspect all of them are CNC designed. I don't think that's something they keep putting in here in these different websites, but that means very little to me. Durable, lightweight design, anti-dry fire, and auto safety. Includes a 5-year limited warranty. 3 20-inch carbon arrows, a parallel quiver, illuminated 4x32 scope, rope cocking sled, and rail loop. So it does come with a rope cocking sled as well. That's pretty slick. I like that. 8.3 pounds. Okay, they haven't differentiated here whether the package is 8.3 pounds with the quiver, that sort of thing, or whether it's just the crossbow. This is 28 inches long. Perhaps it is the crossbow itself. Either way, 8.3 pounds, a little bit of weight reduction compared to what I'm comfortable with or familiar with from 11 years of hunting with Bunjie. 430 feet per second. So we're back up to 430 feet per second. Perhaps if we wait a little bit longer, we'll be up even faster. Who knows? I don't know. The speed on this thing is going, fluctuates all over the place. We're in the ballpark either way. I'm not going to be complaining about that. That's not going to be a problem. Power stroke, kinetic energy, 15 inches, draw weight 200 pounds, string length 33.78 inches, and a 5-year warranty. Warranties is something I could discuss separately in a separate video just on warranties. That would make an interesting video. And also talking about what those warranties cover, because just because you have a warranty doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means. But the power stroke of 15 inches, that's in the ballpark of what we are familiar with. Also, that draw weight of 200 pounds, remembering that there is a let-off. So cocking a 200-pound compound crossbow is not the same as cocking a 200-pound recurve crossbow. So that's our crossbow. So we're at 430. Let's look at the arrows. We said we were going to look at the arrows. We'll go back to products here, and we're going to go to arrows, and we're going to look up arrows. And we got lots of broadheads. They have their own broadhead. I'm not interested in changing broadheads. I'm actually upgrading the crossbow, at least in part, because I want to stick with the broadhead style that I already enjoy. I'm not interested really in changing that. We got .003s. We've got 400 select carbon arrow with lighted knock. We have that as an option. Pretty cool. And bow fishing arrows. Premium arrow with lighted knock. And I'm going to have to go back because I got to check here. 20-inch carbon arrows. So we want the 20-inch. So we're going to go back here. We're going to drop down. We're going to go to products. Go back on here. Go back to arrows. And we're looking at our arrows here. If we go down, we want a 20-inch arrow. So those are 20 inchers. And we have the more premium ones here. These are premium with a lighted knock. Very interesting. Premium with lighted knock. 20-inch crossbow arrows. Those don't have a lighted knock. Let's go over here to, let's pick a premium with lighted knock. See if they tell us on here. They actually do tell us quite a bit here. We got a 0.344 inch outside diameter and a 0.3 inch inside diameter. I had commented on this in another video, I think, but I really wish that all of the manufacturers would talk more about the arrows that they sell for their crossbows model by model. Make it very clear which model this goes with, okay? But also give me more details. I would like to know the weights, specific weights of those arrows with and without the lighted knocks. I'd like to know the inside diameter, outside diameter to the thousandths of the inch, just like this. This is very good stuff. The total weight of each arrow is 345 grains. So 345 total grain weight. But that's with a 110 grain lead-free brass insert. Well, that suggests to me that they've made the arrow heavier without the... Weird. I'm a little leery to say that this crossbow is going to throw a 445 grain arrow at 430 feet per second. I don't think that's really what we're seeing here. So weigh in the comments. But what I'm going to assume is that 345 is with a 100 grain field point. I'm going to add 50 grains to that for a whopping 395. I'm going to subtract 15 feet per second to the 425 feet per second that they were promising on the website. That will in turn drop us down a little bit, down from 425 to 410, right? 410 feet per second. So I'll say we're 410 to 415 feet per second at 395 grains. I could have this all wrong, and this is one of the things that I would like to point out that, again, this really, they started to do a really good job here, but I need to know this information manufacturer by manufacturer very quickly. And I shouldn't have to go look for that. I shouldn't have to go to a forum to hear what somebody who's not even affiliated with Centerpoint tells me the specs of those arrows are. It should be clear cut. It should be right in here so that I have that information. I can jump to this website. I can look at it very simply and go back. It is disappointing that I can't simply do that. I can play around on the website, go read the descriptions of each one and piece that information together. But at this point, we are guessing that it is 395 total grains, and it will shoot it around 410 feet per second or perhaps faster, generating the kinetic energy and momentum. I see already that it mooses. We knew it was going to moose. We knew it was going to moose. That's great stuff. We are at 147 foot-pounds of kinetic energy and momentum around 0.719. I will say that 147.41 is a little bit lower than what they were promising on the website, and that tells me I might have the arrow numbers wrong. We might be able to do even better than this. It's possible. But until we know for sure, that is all the information we have at this time. These are good-looking crossbows worth a look-see, I am thinking, and until I get a chance to look at that crossbow, until next time, all hail Bunjie! What arrows did it come with? Give me a few minutes, okay?
Oh, yeah.